everybody. Welcome to Victory Talk. I am your host, Lady J. I am excited for another evening just to come and sit and chat with you guys. It has been a special day for me, and I'll share about that shortly. But I pray that you are ready and you are excited for our marriage edition of Victory Talk. My co-host tonight is my lovey, Pastor Phil. He's going to be joining in shortly. He's getting the technical piece all set up. All right. So we do apologize for being a tad bit behind. We were having technical difficulties. As some of you may know, we are not in our normal studio. So I will share shortly when he gets into his seat where we are and what's going on. So tell somebody, call somebody, let them know, text them. Victory Talk is on, and it is the marriage edition. And y'all, it's going to be good tonight. We're not even going to hold you long, but we just want to just stop by and share just some things that, you know, that God has just laid on our heart and has showed us and has shared with us, and we're living it. And so as it pertains to marriage. So, Pastor Phil, you going to join me now? So tonight's show, as he's still over there fiddling with the technology, tonight's show is for marriages. And those that are married, whether you're newly married 30, 40 plus years, engaged with a date, working on getting married, whatever your situation is and whatever your status is, you know, this show is for you. And so I am so excited about this. I am so excited about this. So while he is getting that situated, I just want to remind everybody, y'all, I pray that you have gotten your copy of the audio book. You've got this. Let me tell you, I have been listening to this book. Okay, and so let me just, for anybody who is new to Victory Talk, it is a book it's an audio book that I authored on. And so I have a section in it, and I believe it is fire. And I know that it is going to bless you, bless your sisters, your mothers, your nieces, your whoever. Listen, I trust and I believe that God has a special blessing for them. So if you have not already gotten your copy of the audio book, you've got this. I will share the link on my Victory Talk page, as well as my personal Facebook page, as well as the church's page. And all you have to do is click the link, and it'll take you right to the site where you can download the book. All right, y'all. So let us get started for tonight's show. Tonight's show is on self-care for marriages. So we've been seeing a whole lot of challenges for love yourself, self-care. You know, take a picture if you're this age and take a picture if you're that age. Just promoting how good you're doing for yourself. But God laid it on our hearts that it is equally as important to take care of your marriage, to take care of your relationship. So usually, Pastor Phil and I, we have another couple on with us, but tonight we just wanted to come straight from the hip. You had something, Pastor?
Well, you know, the thing in marriage is that, you know, marriages get caught in the day-to-day grind. You know, you have work and you have kids and you have everything going on, jobs and everything going on. And, you know, sometimes you need to just take a break, take a step back, and then, you know, just spend some time with your mate. You know, we always say that, you know, that we need some me time so we can revive and rejuvenate.
Yes.
And, you know, sometimes you need some couples time so you can revive and rejuvenate your marriage.
Yes. It is so vital to remember that your marriage matter. Your marriage, and those of us that are married, your marriage is the foundation within everything around you, from your raising your children to even your work life. Even it benefits you in your spiritual life. Your marriage is your foundation. If your foundation is rocky, if your foundation is not sturdy, if your foundation is not able to uphold everything that's underneath of it, that's on top of it, I should say, everything is on top of it, then everything on top of it is going to crumble. So this article that I have been reading, and it talks about your marriage should always be a priority, no matter the extenuating circumstances. Once we prioritize our marriage, we are practicing self-care. If things are not good in your marriage, if things are not good in our marriage, if we having a rough patch, I find it difficult to be working on me. At the same time, if I'm having a rough patch, then I find it difficult to be working on our marriage. So if you can kind of see how the two go hand in hand. Oh, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not taking care of your marriage. If you're not taking care of your marriage, you're not taking care of yourself.
You ever notice how when when we neglect our marriages, it seems like everything around our life starts to go haywire. Start stuff at the job goes haywire, stuff around the house go haywire. Even your stuff that you say, this is my me stuff, it starts to go haywire, because in your marriage life, when your marriage life kind of gets into that rut or something, you get into that rut. But here's the thing, every marriage is going to go through some times. There's going to be times it's going to come up into every marriage, and it's not that if you go through a time, as I say, if you're having heated fellowship, but it's how you come through that time.
Yes.
And so we have to remember that that marriage is what we call it, a 3-layer cord.
A 3-cord. Yes, a 3-strand cord.
And so if you have God in the midst of that marriage, as you and your spouse is the foundation, but God is the cement holding that foundation together. And then you'll find that, if you go back to the spiritual aspect of your marriage, you can look at some things and say, hey, why are we even arguing over this?
Right. Yes. Even if you and your spouse think, you don't have the time to, get away, to devote, on a much regular basis, every now and then you have got to set aside some time to devote to making sure your marriage is as healthy as it can be. If you find that in your relationship, in your marriage, that you are snapping at each other, that sometimes you don't even physically feel right. Sometimes you have to marriage check. What's going on with my spouse? What's going on with me that is making us, snap at one another, feel distant from one another? The intimacy is not as it should be. When you find that there's things you're putting things constantly before spending time with your spouse. You can't hang out with the guys or the girls every weekend or, every evening, whatever. You can't do that all the time, especially when you're married, because it will affect your relationship with your spouse. At some point in time, somebody's going to feel neglected. And if one or the other of you are feeling neglected, then there is a deficit somewhere. There is truly a deficit somewhere.
But you know what? Not even saying that you get into the point where where you're having arguments like that. Okay, let's even forget that, because sometimes the marriage can go astray and there's not an argument that has happened. It's because we get so complacent in life that we forget to date each other.
Oh, come on now.
So of those things that thing that brought us together, those feelings, and like those feelings about like when we was first dating.
Yes.
We was first dating, we would be on the phone late at night. You hang up. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. Then you hang up.
Holding hands.
And then so we get into our marriage so like I said earlier, we have kids. Okay, and then we have jobs, and we have all of the stresses that come in life. And we kind of let those feelings of dating, they just kind of wash away. And so then, you start having that thing of, man, I remember when, but now it's not like that. You was like when you was first dating and you first got married, you could just say that your wife was a cracker. You're like, this is the best cracker in the world. This is the best cracker. This is must be a specially made cracker. This is a great cracker. And then one day you wake up and say, this is just a regular old saltine.
It's a regular old saltine.
But see, that's because you've let the fire,
the flavor,
go out of your marriage. Yes. And we have to keep that fire burning. We should never stop dating. It doesn't matter how many years you have been married, you should never stop dating.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Right. And so as of right now, Phil and I, because y'all, I'm gonna call him Phil right now. Phil and I, we realized that we needed to shut it down. We needed to take some time and get away. Ministry, family, children, grandchildren, classes, both of us are taking classes. There's always something going on. A lot of times, I know that you guys have heard the analogy of the airplane analogy and the oxygen. Okay. And so for those of us that are, constantly doing something, which is just about everybody, but those of us that are constantly doing something, if the airplane goes down or it hits some rough turbulence or whatever, and the oxygen mask falls down, okay, can you help somebody else put the oxygen mask on them if you haven't put the oxygen mask on yourself?
Well, see, that is all in self-care.
Yes. It's also for marriage too, because we can't continue to do everything that we do without taking the time to take care of our marriage.
Well, most certainly of taking care of your marriage and not letting your marriage go by the wayside. We get wrapped up in so much stuff that, marriage becomes secondary.
Yes.
It becomes a thing that, I'm married to her, she's married to me, and I'm going to assume because she has not yelled at me, she has not said anything, that she's happy. And sometimes there are both people in the couple walking around and they're both unhappy, but they're assuming because the other one is not yelling, the other one is not fighting, they assume that they're happy. And sometimes you do have to do a marriage check and say, hey, Jackie, you happy?
I'm happy.
Okay, I'm glad you're happy.
You happy?
Oh, well, I'm all right.
You all right?
I'm all right.
Well, if you're just all right, then we need to make sure that you get to that happy level. What can I do? What can I do to help you get to your happy level?
But you know what? See, what you just said right there, and we haven't even rehearsed this. Believe me, we got here at at 5 o'clock, and I'm busy trying to get all the cameras and everything set up.
The here is we're in Massanutten, Virginia. We had to shut some things down.
It's in the comments, actually. Everybody knows where we are.
Oh, okay. So he put it. See, I didn't even know he did that. But go ahead with your.
So anyway, to look at when we say our mate is not happy, and sometimes we want to say, well, that's their problem. But in a marriage, it's us.
It's us.
We have to, and a whole lot of times, because I grew up a only child. I had my cousins, they're my brothers and my sisters, but I was kind of the spoiled one. And so I always had this thing of saying me. I mean, and I do it now, and I have to really catch myself. But sometimes in marriage, because now we've had to open our space to someone else, that we kind of say, well, where is my me time? Where's my time for myself? And believe me, everybody should have me time.
Oh, yeah,
everybody
absolutely.
should have time for themselves. But in your me time and having time for yourself, you want to make sure that your partner is okay. Because see, this is your partner. This is your partner in life.
My ride or die.
In whatever things are going on, to be your ride or die. Home should be your safe spot. Whatever goes on out there. When I come home, I know I got my partner, and whatever it is her and I against the world.
Can I just jump in there real quick? Sisters, but namely sisters, I just want to remind you that our spouses carry the weight of the world, even though quite a few of them are working from home right now. But even still, they're still carrying the weight of the world. The world is already beating them down. The world is already making them, or desires to make them feel as if they are less than. When they come home, they come through those doors, they have to know that home is my sanctuary. Home is my safe place with my spouse, because I'm not just talking to wives, but I'm talking to those who are engaged and working to become married. My spouse is my safe place, my sanctuary. I look forward to his face when he comes through the door. Right now, he's working from home. Crazy as it sounds, when he's downstairs in his office, and he's been down there, say, about 2 or 3 hours, I'm excited when he comes upstairs and he peeps in my office or he comes to the kitchen. I'm excited to see him. And I believe that it lets him know how much I love him and I appreciate him. So we have got to be, intentional with letting our spouses know that, hey, I'm your safe place. Hey, if you're stressed or you're concerned about something, or that something is bothering you, you don't have to worry about me nagging you. You ain't got to worry about me stressing you out. Now, I know that we have our times when we stress each other out, but we have to intentionally work on not doing that. And when we do it, we have to fix it, because it's okay to say, I apologize. It's okay to say, hey, I did something wrong, or you offended me, or I'm hurt, or, whatever you need to do to clear the air, but just do it. Just do it. One of the things that, like I said, sometimes you have to shut things down. If that means that you have to turn off some cell phones, because, we all be glued to our cell phones. We be with each other and we be glued to our cell phones, or we be glued to the TV, or we're glued to, whatever, the video games, or, helping somebody else. Those of us in ministry, we're constantly making ourselves available to everybody else. There comes times for your marriage, for yourself, for your spouse, that you have to shut it down. If that means that you get an opportunity to pack up your car and take a trip for, even if it's just a weekend trip, do whatever you got to do. if you have to do a staycation at home, do a staycation at home. But when you do that staycation at home, you still have got to make sure that you are really and truly shut it down. Plan some, little things. Light some candles, do some puzzles together, play cards together, not having a whole bunch of people over, just because you say you shut it down and your boy come over and your boy bring his girl, or your sister come by and bring the children or whatever. That's not shutting it down. Shutting this down is you and him time, or you and her time.
Well, I mean, just like the time when you and I and Pauls took a walk.
Mm-hmm.
It was time for us to just walk and talk, and it was almost like the neighborhood. We were rediscovering our own neighborhood. Just because we was walking and we was enjoying it together.
Mm-hmm.
So it is that thing of sharing and making memories.
Yes.
We take making memories for granted. We always say we're going to go here and we're going to go here. We're going to have a nice trip and we're going to make some memories. But you should be making memories every day
on a regular basis.
When you look at how this world is right now, and as the Bible says, we do not know the day nor the hour.
Mm-hmm. So
you should be making memories every day.
Yeah.
And every day, I mean, you should be having that marriage check just to see, is your spouse
okay?
Are you okay? But see, here's the thing: that word "okay," though, that word "okay" is a big cop out.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we'll say we're okay and we're not okay.
Sometimes you've got to ask your spouse, "What's going on? What's going on?" Can I do anything? Do you need anything? And one of my biggest things is I don't wait for Philip to say I need X, Y, and Z. I don't wait for him to tell me, that he needs for me to do something. Now, because I feel like 16 years in, we're kind of in tune. We're in sync with one another. I know when something, when he's in need of something. I can kind of tell by, his walk. I used to hear my mother say all the time, I can tell what's going on in your world or how you feeling by the way you walk. Believe it or not, I can tell, what's going on, that there isn't going on, even by the way that he walks.
But you know what? What about that thing of the honesty factor in couples? Because as your spouse, this should be the person that you share anything with, that you can that there should be nothing between you two,
no matter how hard it is.
But a whole lot of times, it's the honesty factor is hard because of how our spouse reacts or how we think they're going to react. And the crazy thing is, a lot of times in our marriage, we'll say, you can tell me the truth. Whatever it is, I'll deal with it and we will be okay. But a lot of times it's like that movie Jack Nicklaus line, you can't handle the truth,
but you have to tell the truth
because of the fact that you hear half the truth and not listen, and then just go off. So our mate should be that sounding board. It is our safe place.
Yes.
That should be your marriage should be a safe space.
Yes.
Because if you say you can share anything with me, you have to be willing to accept anything. And so that's
and open to it. Open to it. But definitely.
Communication is that fact. As a matter of fact, you have an open line of communication in your marriage. You can just about face any problem. But when that communication line is all screwed up, that just makes everything all screwed up. Remember that movie that we was watching, and the guy had all these problems going on, and then he was hiding stuff from his wife, even though it wasn't anything bad. It was just stuff that he didn't want her to know, and things just seemed to get complicated and complicated and complicated.
Yeah.
And so, but all of that could have been avoided by just putting it out there and them dealing with it and moving on from that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but our marriage should be that safe space that we can just, if you can't just be open with anybody else, it should be your spouse.
Yeah.
And I said, your spouse should be that safe place.
Yes.
That if I got an issue, I tell you about it, and then we deal with it. Not is so you just stupid. You just stupid.
On that note,
so we have to be. It has to be that understanding, safe place, and that goes both ways.
Yes.
Fellas, sometimes your wife just wants to talk, and men, even though we are by nature fixers. We want to fix problems. Sometimes when your wife comes to you with a problem, she doesn't want you to fix it. She wants you to listen.
Before you go from that safe place, I want to say Tina Coleman, and she says it is very important that you don't make your spouse pay a price for being honest. That is so right, Tina. Yes, that is absolutely. You cannot make your spouse, don't punish your spouse for telling you the truth or letting you know something. A lot of times, and I know this from, because I talk with the wives a lot. A lot of times a wife will say, I need to share something with my husband. I'm frustrated, but I can't talk to him about it because of the way that he responds or the way that he shuts me down, or vice versa, because we've heard it from a husband as well. But we've got to be careful how we respond to one another when we open the door for our spouses to be honest. Because it is very hard if I'm going to, pour out my heart or share with you, what I'm, struggling with or what I find to be difficult, but if I come to you and you make me feel like, whatever it is, that it's not important, or if you make me feel less than, or if you degrade me or downplay whatever it is that I'm feeling, then I'm less likely to come to you with something. I'm less likely to share. And I know that we are saying, somebody right now is saying, but that's your husband. Well, that's your wife. You should feel comfortable. But the reality of it is it's happening. It's happening. And I just have to say, at some point in time, it's happened in your marriage too.
But see, here's the thing. Your spouse is that one person that you don't want to disappoint.
Mm-hmm.
And when something happens and you feel that you have disappointed, you really don't want to share it with them, because like I feel if I was to disappoint you, and when I told you and you were hurt, I would be just as hurt. And by human nature, we don't want to be hurt. So if I don't tell her, then I can kind of deal with it, and she won't be hurt. But we sometimes, and a whole lot of times, we compound the issue of whatever it is, trying to deal with it with ourselves. So I should be able to tell you anything.
Mm-hmm.
And
it hasn't always been like that for us. There's been,
but that's a growing process.
But that's a growing process. And so, and a lot of times we have some couples that we've married that have not reached the 5-year mark, and we tell them going in, look, we know that everything is all wonderful, peaches and cream as you're planning. Wait a minute, as you're planning the wedding and you're doing this, that, and the third, and you're just all lovey-dovey and you feel all good and you know, just all bubbly inside. But then after you get married and, you know, stuff gets real.
The day you get married.
The day you get married.
A clock starts ticking.
It starts ticking.
And I always tell couples, the first 4 years are the hell years.
The first
them
5 years.
Them first 4 years, you're going to be sometime.
So when you get to the 5th year.
You're going to be sometime in those first 4 years wondering, why did I do this?
Right.
What was I thinking about?
Right.
But you know, those are those years where you are
getting to know one another.
You got two different personalities
that are coming
together. And I had, our friends of ours who just recently got married, and they had been living together for like 4 years. And I had been telling them, I said, you know what? When you get married, some stuff is going to change.
It's going to change.
And he was like, nah, we've been living together 4 years and everything's good. I said, some stuff is changing.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of days after they got married, he said, you know what? You were right.
Yes.
Because when you become married, that's when it gets real.
It gets real. And then you're blending together, you know, personalities. Sometimes, you know, you're blending together households. You're getting to learn each other and to know one another on different levels. You know,
you are blending together bills. You know, because
finances.
When you was first dating, you know, you had your bills and I had bills. You know, yes. We went out, we dated, then you went home and I went home. Mm-hmm. But now, after the date, guess what? We wind up in the same house.
Yes.
And now we're dealing with stuff like, wait a minute, hold up. I had my budget all set up, but now, I got this new stuff coming in.
Yeah.
And typically, sometimes we want to say, hey, these are your bills and these are my bills.
Mm-hmm.
But really and truly, it's just all our stuff.
It's all our stuff.
We got to just blend it all in.
Yes. So it is very important to take time, make time, do whatever you need to do. Find that time to, you know, spend with your spouse. And in that time, I want to talk about being present. I want to talk about, you've got to put down the cell phones. Y'all, the internet is he gonna pick up his phone. I'm sorry. The internet. So we do everything on our phones. We get our emails, our work emails, our school emails. We text. We don't even talk to each other as much as we should or as often as we should because we're so busy texting each other. But, you know, we've got to be present. When you're making that time to spend with your spouse and you're making your memories together, put your phones down. You know, sometimes you even got to turn off the TV because if you're not purposely watching a movie together or whatever, sometimes you can be, you know, trying to have a conversation and the TV is playing in the background and it could completely, y'all know my husband is a gadgeter, okay? So he can get distracted by the, you know, a shiny.
I see a shiny.
You know, he see a shiny on the TV, a nice car, because y'all know he's been into cars forever. He can see a nice car, we can have an in-depth conversation, and he might check out for the moment. All I'm saying is sometimes you got to, no, not sometimes, when you're in that time frame, when you are making time to be with your spouse, and that's your together time, be present. You know, if you're having a conversation, you know, pay attention. Let them know that you're paying attention. Not, you know, writing out some bills or checking some emails or writing a letter or whatever. Just make sure that you're present. Okay? All right? Be present. And then I also, the last thing I'm going to get to, I'm not going to get to it yet. I'm going to skip over my note here and go to the next thing.
Well, you're doing that.
This one I can't.
Like, I want to talk to you, I don't want to talk to you, I want to talk to you. See, That drives me crazy.
One of the things I want to say is not just to the sisters, but to the men as well. Fix it up. Fix it up.
Okay,
Can
you clarify that? That sounds like some real prison stuff.
When I say fix it up, we are 9 times out of 10, we are visually attracted to our spouses. Sometimes even before we even get to know them, we are physically attracted to them. You know, whether it be if they have long hair, short hair, you know, the clothes they wear, you know, nicely groomed, whatever it is. But a lot of times after you get married, or after you get into these, you know, committed relationships for long periods of time, you forget, folks let themselves go. I'm not talking about gaining weight. I'm not talking about losing weight. What I'm talking about is, you know, that same person that you fell in love with, or that same person that your spouse fell in love with.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You talking about, you know, that one time you was coming to bed with them nice negligees on, and then you start coming to bed with them flannel pajamas.
No, I ain't getting
That's talking about.
No.
I'm talking about, like, hold on, who you? Who you? I did not marry you. I did not marry these pajamas. I married this other good-looking thing. So who this? Where you come from?
Well, yes, but no. What I'm saying is, sometimes even though you're around the house, even though, you know, I try to put on my little I have y'all know I'm real crazy, but I have my little house earrings. So I put my little house earrings in, and even though, you know, my hair might be tied up, but, you know, I put on a nice little wrap on my hair and tie it up or pin it up, or, you know, just do a little something cute, you know, put on a little, you know, I don't wear eyelashes, but I will flick on a little mascara, whatever, throw a little something on my lips. Sisters, put on a bra every now.
Oh, Lord. So what you saying? So what you saying?
I'm just
what you're basically saying is I'm gonna make the suit look tempting every day, even though it's the same old suit. I'm gonna keep the suit.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
guys, trim it up. You know, go ahead and Lovey got a bald head now, but you know, I don't want to touch your head and it's stubbly or whatever. That's all I'm saying. Fix it up. You know, you've got to make the
package. That, I'm scared.
You got to make the package appealing. You know, you got to make the package appealing. And that takes me to my next point. My next point is intimacy. Guys, it is so important. I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about intimacy. Intimacy starts when you get up in the morning. It starts, you know, when you see your spouse. Those little things, I appreciate it. Don't go ahead and kiss me when you got the morning breath, but say good morning. You know, just those light little touches. You know, find time to be especially intimate with your spouse. You know, a hug, a touch. You know, not saying that you've got to be all over one another, but, you know, you can't just go jump in the bed. You know, turn the crock pot on. You know, throw a little meat in the crock pot. Y'all sisters, you know, if you put a roast, I'm going to say a roast, or maybe even a pot of soup, but if you put the ingredients in the pot, and you start to let it slow cook and marinate, it be nice and tender. The flavor has seeped through, and when you go to taste it, oh my gosh, it's cooked for hours, but it is so delicious. Our relationships are the same way. Your intimacy is not just in the bedroom. It's in the kitchen. It's on the phone. You know, it's, you know, in a text message. It's in, you know, a gift. Not saying that you have to be going out and buying extravagant or expensive gifts, but it's in the little things.
Little things.
It's the little
Oh, so, yeah,
things.
so, baby, if I say I want to make love to your mind,
Yes. Hey, do what you gotta do. If that's the work, it'll work. It'll work. So work on your intimacy. Your marriage depends on it. A dry marriage, a dry marriage, it's not gonna grow if you don't water it. If y'all know I'm a gardener, if you don't water it, if you don't give it some miracle grow, some food, if you know don't feed it, if you don't cultivate it, sometimes you've got to prune away the dead. You got to prune away the dead in order for new things to grow. So although you may remember what you did yesterday and continue to try to, help your marriage grow, do some new things, make some new memories, have some new experiences.
you gotta keep stuff fresh.
Gotta keep fresh. Gotta keep it fresh. I told y'all we weren't gonna be before y'all long, but it almost looks like we almost out of time. But at the top of my list, this is last, but certainly the first. Okay, I want to remind each and every one of us, husbands, wives, prayer. Prayer is your foundation.
Oh,
Prayer is your foundation. You've got to pray. Find times. Yes, we have our own individual prayer life. We have our own individual prayer lives, but it is important to also have your couple's prayer life, your couple's prayer. Where two or more are gathered, amen? Where two or more are gathered, there God is in the midst. So those things that are concerning you, whether it be your health, your finances, your relationship, your children, your weight, whatever the situation is, pray together.
but something. I mean, praying together is fine. It's fine.
It's more than
Well,
fine.
you're right. It's actually
It's
fine.
vital.
It is that cement that holds your marriage. But husbands, you should be praying for your wives, and wives you should be praying for your husbands, especially when you are going through something, because there are things in life that we try to deal with, we try to handle, and we see that stuff just it seems to be getting worse and worse. But when you turn your wife, turn your husband over to God and say, God, I need for you to step in. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to handle it, but I need for you to step in. And when you give them over to God, first of all, when you say, God, I am giving my wife to you, I'm giving my husband to you, you're telling God right there, I trust you with it. This is the most important thing in my life.
Yes.
And I trust it to
To
you.
you. Yeah. It's
And
yours to begin with.
and then you let go. You let go and let God and see some things happen. I've seen some people who were saying, do you know what? I want to get divorced. This is it. I'm tired of you. I'm done. And I've told them, look, just take 2 weeks and pray for your husband. Pray for your wife.
Yes.
And they came back to me and said, I don't know exactly how things have changed, but something has changed. And I think we can make it. I now want to work to make it. And so, a big part of marriage, not a big part of marriage, the most important part of marriage
It is the most
is
important.
prayer in the marriage and keeping God in the midst. When you keep God in the midst of that marriage, husband, wife, God, husband, wife, there's nothing that you can't handle. Nothing.
Notice we did not say God, husband, wife, children. God, husband, wife, children, family. No, we're saying God, husband, wife. That's your marriage.
Because now, going back to your airplane analogy, see, now I'm going to put it into perspective where it makes sense. You know,
Oh, you trying to say my analogy didn't make sense?
I didn't say it didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense to me. But if your marriage is not right and you're trying to say, okay, little Billy's off the hinges, you can't help Billy when mommy and daddy got issues.
Right.
Mommy and daddy get their issues in check. They're on one accord. Then you can help Billy. You can help Susie. But you and your spouse have to be on one accord.
All right. That about sums it up. We wanted to finish with marriage because we know that marriage is the one thing. If you don't remember nothing else about tonight's show, we want you to remember that the power of prayer in your marriage works. It doesn't matter how long you've been married. You could have been married 10 seconds on your way to getting married. If you've been married 20, 30, 40 years, you already know the power of prayer in your marriage. One of the books that we want to give to couples that we are counseling or that we've married is The Power of a Praying Wife or The Power of a Praying Husband. And you can get that book off of Amazon, and the author is
Amazon got everything.
Amazon got everything. The author is Stormy Martin or Martin. But it's a powerful book. But even if you don't have the book, just please remember pray. Pray before you speak to your husband. Pray before you when you're stressed or you're in heated fellowship. Pray. Pray before you go to walk out a door. Pray for his going and her goings and her comings and his comings. Pray. We cannot stress how important prayer is in your marriage. So that's basically our show for tonight. That is our show for tonight. Victory Talk. Every fourth Friday is our Yes Marriage Works edition of Victory Talk. We can tell y'all, marriage works. Marriage works when you keep God in the midst. I was not planning on getting married again. I was not planning on getting married. I just wanted to raise my children and go about my happy way. But God put this man, he sent him to find me.
He was mine.
Amen. And he made me his. Amen. And so the power of prayer changed some things, because even when he came along, I didn't want to be in a relationship. It was hard for me to submit in terms of letting go the things that I knew and the things that I had to, that I felt like that I had to be in control over in my life. But I'm telling you, we'd be driving down the road and he'd put his hands on me and he'd be praying for me. He'd be praying for me. And I just want you guys to know how important it is for prayer. Pastor Phil.
Hey,
Bobby.
Your show.
My show. All right, y'all. That is our show for tonight. Make time for your marriage. Your marriage matters. Your marriage matters. It matters to you, and your marriage matters to us. We love you. We love you so much, and there's truly nothing that you can do about it. We look forward to talking with you again next month on Yes, Marriage Works, on this edition of Victory Talk. We love you. Peace and blessings. Good night.